Good afternoon and welcome to the Hat Trick Podcast. This week on the podcast, Spurs are officially out of the title race after a horror show week. Liverpool are nearly there after showing us their Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We get to know Jorginho was actually good after all. We'll cover the Championship's great week, League One's good week, and of course League Two's average week. We'll discuss Germany, France, Italy, and the MLS returns, which means Tom is all happy and all of that lot. But to do it, I need two other people, otherwise it's just me talking to myself. So let us introduce the other two. That's Mr. Adam Swindles.
Hi, how we doing?
And Mr. Tom Rogers.
You alright, mate?
I'm perfectly fine, fellas. Right, now, we will introduce our fourth member, because this week we do have a fourth. We are very, very, very lucky to be joined by Mr. Jamie Fry.
Hello.
Is that it?
I mean, short and sweet.
Oh, I love it. So, obviously, Mr. Jamie Fry, who do you support?
I am a big Reading fan.
You're from Reading as well, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Right, so that's okay. So we've got more Championship heads in our building. We've got a League Two head still in Mr. Adam Swindles, who's a Port Vale fan, and obviously we've got Premier League head in me, who is obviously a Newcastle United fan. God bless myself. But what we are missing is obviously just a League One one now. That's all we need. We just need a League One fan, but no one really cares because it's the deadest league in the world. Anyway, we'll start. Obviously, this week we had 2 full rounds of fixtures. We didn't just have the normal Saturday ones. We had a full round of fixtures midweek. Fellas, how good was midweek?
I enjoyed it. It was a really good watch. Obviously, Liverpool and Arsenal hitting teams for 5, really showing how they can play top form.
I actually couldn't agree more. Like Liverpool, they were incredible. Arsenal showed up as well. Everton got rid of that awful record as well, and did that. And of course, Adam, you were correct. Huddersfield beat Wolves. Well done to you.
Thank you.
Well done to you.
Not the only prediction I got right this week.
It's not, and he's been bragging left, right, and centre that it isn't. But we did get some reoccurring themes from midweek, pushing on into the thing. Obviously, the main big one was Chelsea Spurs, and that awful result for Tottenham.
Yeah.
Especially the Kieran Trippier own goal, Jamie.
That was a comedy of errors, but I don't think it's all to him to blame. I think there's a bit of blame on both parts. So.
You mean Hugo Lloris as well?
Yeah, because sort of Spurs have this thing where they make it quite apparent about who's going to come and get the ball, whether like it's Lloris's or the defender's going to deal with it. And Trippier made some sort of like arm motion or something like that, and he did it, and then Lloris didn't come.
Mm-hmm.
So then he's like, oh, okay, I've got to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
He isn't looking up, to be fair to him, so I think that's where the blame his part of the blame is lies. So he's not looking up. He's then passed it back to him. He's essentially dealt with it, but Lloris has then committed. So
He's very indecisive goalkeeper. I reckon. It's like last season. He's trying to be Manuel Neuer of old, and he's just either coming too late or he's just never getting there. And I think Tottenham conceded a lot of goals last season from that.
Yeah, we'll get on to Spurs more, obviously, this week, because it's not only this midweek was their first North London derby, and then they've had another one this weekend, obviously, at Arsenal. So we'll do a quick recap. Obviously, Adam was correct of Huddersfield Wolves. Good result for Huddersfield. Everton beat Cardiff 3-0. Leicester beat Brighton 2-1, with Brendan Rodgers watching in the stand. The mighty Geordies won 2-0 after an absolute stunning goal from Fabian Schär. And then obviously Sean Longstaff, the future England centre mid in quality. Southampton beat Fulham 2-0. Arsenal were 5-1 winners at Bournemouth. Bournemouth's away record still continues to be awful, doesn't it? It's really terrible. It really is not good. We'll get on to Bournemouth more because I'm going to lay into them later on. Man United won 3-1 at Crystal Palace. Liverpool beat Watford 5-0, as Adam already said. Man City eked out a 1-0 win. That's what champions do. And Chelsea won 2-0 at Spurs, as aforementioned. So obviously that doesn't mean there wasn't an awful lot of changes in the actual table. It means that Southampton moved out of the drop zone and Cardiff moved in, and that was pretty much it. There wasn't any other massive changes there. Both City and Liverpool both won, so the top of the table was okay. It just kind of meant that Spurs were definitely out of the title race come Wednesday, and they were eking down towards that thing. So, going through to the weekend's football, we will start at Goodison Park. Now, 0-0 was the score, but Mr. Adam Swindles, that was not the story of the game.
No, it was a very end-to-end game with like no end product from either team, to be fair. The defences were completely on top. I want to point out, though, Liverpool's front three had a mare. I mean, Salah and Mane, I don't know what they were doing. So, I mean, Salah could have had an hat-trick with the chances he had. Just, he too many touches, trying to be too, accurate with what he was doing. He should have just let fly the ball, let it go. But
there's 2 games in the space of a week, isn't it, where he's been very poor in big games as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're referring to the Man United game.
Yeah, not obviously not midweek, because he played well midweek. But
He did play well midweek.
But they played against Watford over. No disrespect to Watford, but they're not like a Man United and Everton's a local derby. And they've drawn both those big games 0-0. When really, if they're going to win titles, they need to win those sort of games. Like we see Man City won 1-0 midweek, won 1-0 at the weekend as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, on a Liverpool perspective here, we'll talk more about Everton in a minute. On a Liverpool perspective here, it's only the 3rd game this season only the 3rd Premier League game this season they've failed to score in. Which just tells you that, is this this could be just a front 3 blip, Jamie, or does it tell you that Liverpool are stuttering and don't really know what they're doing this late in the season?
I mean, I think it's a bit harsh to say that they're like faltering. It's only, like you said, it's only the 3rd game they've failed to score in.
Yeah.
So it's it's not all bad. But I think they've scored about something like 30 goals less than Man City this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. City are like Tom said, getting 1-0s here and there and stuff. But then they're also winning convincingly. And now I know Liverpool won 5-0, but like Tom said, you've got to get those results in the games where they're drawing 0-0. If you want to be champions, you need to turn that into a 1-0 or something. So I think it is just a bit of a blip. I don't think it's all doom and gloom.
Mm-hmm.
And as well, like, they didn't have Firmino. I know Origi played really well against Watford.
He didn't play well against Everton.
Well, yeah, they weren't at full strength. So I mean, you could arguably use that, but yeah, it was a poor showing from the front 3 in that game for sure.
Definitely. We'll move on to the Everton point of view. Everton's record in Merseyside derbies isn't great. They haven't officially won one since 2010, which, come on guys, that's 9 years and you still haven't won a Merseyside derby.
Only 2 players left in that squad that were involved in that as well.
Absolutely. Tom, which 2 were they?
I know one, Seamus Coleman.
And the other was Phil Jagielka, who was on the bench.
Oh, was he on the bench?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was on the bench.
He didn't play. He didn't play the 2 as Zuma and Michael Keane. And Michael Keane had a brilliant game, in my opinion. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Obviously, move on to the Jordan Pickford angle of it. I certainly am guilty of this season, definitely. I bash Everton a lot. We all do. We all bash them for being inconsistent and useless and potentially what are they? Why aren't they up the table and winning 7th like they do every year? But what I think is really, really weird, they have 8 clean sheets this season. Jordan Pickford especially has 8 clean sheets. He's 4th in the league for clean sheets. That's a massive stat. That's really good for them.
Yeah.
It just shows their attacking capability isn't up there where the defence is. Obviously, they're going to be higher up if they haven't got the attacking. It really never replaced Lukaku when he went.
Yeah, Richarlison's carrying them on his back, really.
Yeah, and he didn't even start in the game. So he came off the bench and didn't really make an impact.
No, I like Calvert-Lewin, but he's still a young lad.
He's not the player who's going to get you 20 goals a season.
But no, at the minute, no, he's not going to get you that many goals.
So, do you think? And I'll go around each of you. Do you think? There are 2 questions here. Do you think, one, Everton are having a good season, and the second one is, because obviously we know how Everton are in terms of sacking managers and replacing people when things don't go right. Is Marco Silva's job safe?
No and no. I think really a poor season for them where they normally are, but if I was them I wouldn't sack him, but he's definitely under pressure.
think they've had a pretty average season. I don't think they've got a really good squad at all, strength in depth at all. So I think it's been an okay season, but I reckon they will sack Silver at the end of the season.
I wouldn't say they're having a bad season. I don't think they're too far from where they want to be. But, I would say it's a fairly average season. And again, I don't think Silver should be sacked. I agree, I don't think he's 100% safe. But, the pressure will be there. I just don't think that they should get rid of him. I think they should give him time.
Well, on that then, saying that they're not where they should be, where should they be? Should they be in that 7th spot, up Chelsea's backside, and Chelsea are having to look over their shoulder and go there? Because at the moment, they're 7 points adrift of that.
I think they should be. I think it should be in 7th, if not at least a lot closer than what they are.
But you've just said that their squad is lacking in depth.
I think they are lacking. But I think a few more players, they will get there.
Are they the 7th best team in the league at the moment?
At the moment, no. But their target should be.
That's where their expectations are.
That's their expectation. But they just need probably 1 or 2 more players to push them to get there.
Okay. Just I wanted to do it. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I personally think Marco Silva should stay, but that's a recurring theme on this pod, is that I'm big into managers wanting to stay for longer than they potentially should do, or nevertheless. Anyway, we will move on, because we had another derby this week, as I aforementioned when we mentioned the midweek games. Spurs-Arsenal, 1-1. Yes. It was actually a better game than it sounds. I thought it was anyway. It was a great game. Will Arsenal take this as more of a loss, Jamie?
I think so. I think they'll see it as 2 points dropped. They scored early on, obviously, with Ramsey, and then Kane, the penalty was offside. You see the replay, you can't really dispute it. And then Arsenal, the penalty in the last minute. The penalty was poor from Aubameyang. It was a poor, but then how they didn't manage to score the rebound. That was an incredible block by Vertonghen.
A big point on Vertonghen, though, he was encroaching. He was he must have been a good 4 yards in the box when the penalty was taken. He stood next to him, I think.
Are you an Arsenal fan, by any chance?
No.
No,
I'm glad I'm not.
But looking at the penalty, we'll speak about the penalty now, officially for Aubameyang's miss. We're looking at that. He placed it exactly the same position he scored at White Hart, the Emirates.
Yeah, some of those go in though. Wait until the keeper moves and then just put it in the opposite corner to slow along the floor. But obviously, if the keeper doesn't move, he's more likely going to save it.
Well, but this is what I'm saying. So, obviously, goalkeepers study where players take their penalties. And the last time that Hugo Lloris faced Aubameyang in a penalty, he put it in that exact same spot.
It's like
is Lloris going to go that way and do that lot more?
Kind of like a double bluff, isn't it? Do you know I'm going to go that way or I'm going to go the other way?
Right. I'd assume that you're going to go that way, because if you're setting that way, it's there. Anyway, the other thing that I wanted to say about Arsenal there is, do you think that Aubameyang bottled the penalty because of the atmosphere of Wembley? Because I've never heard Wembley like that for a long time, and it was absolutely bouncing, and it was against Aubameyang. Now, I know he's a Dortmund purebred, and Dortmund have loud crowds and all that lot, but it's never been against him, if that makes sense.
I know what you mean. I don't think it would have affected him that much. I think he's, like you said, he's had atmospheres like that before. Obviously, this was against him, but I imagine when he's played teams like Bayern Munich, it's been very similar.
I think it's always nervous to take a penalty, especially the winner so late on. No matter what the atmosphere is. Mm-hmm. So he just, I don't think he battled it. He just expected it to go where he put it last time, and it didn't go in.
It's a lottery, isn't it, at the end of the day, with the penalties. Yeah. One way that the keeper's going to go the right way, wrong way.
Are we looking forward to VAR next season, so we don't have to discuss about the Spurs penalty, whether it's offside or not?
Here's the thing, even if it goes to VAR, we're still going to be disputing it, because, like the derby one against Southampton in the FA Cup, it was tight. It was the right decision, but people were still moaning because how tight it was.
Yeah. Or we could get a bluff like the Casemiro one we discussed last week.
Yeah,
with the Real Madrid.
I think that would be given in the Premier League.
Did anyone see the VAR in the MLS at the weekend, actually? In the Orlando game?
We'll get to the MLS later.
Just all on about VAR, so...
Yeah, we will. But no, I did not see was it good?
It was a good VAR use, shocking refereeing.
Oh, right, okay. Right, so the VAR clearly showed it, but then the referee didn't give it. Oh, right. Tom's nodding for an audio-based people that don't understand. Tom is nodding here to confirm that Is that right, Tom?
Yeah, just confirming it with you, mate.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, bro. Torreira obviously sent off last minute. Red card.
Yeah.
No question about it. Like trailing foot high, could have broken Danny Rose's leg.
It's just pure frustration, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing I really thought that was nice though about that was that Pochettino in the tunnel afterwards, because Torreira waited behind for the officials to discuss why he got sent off and rage about him more and potentially could have got himself in more bother. Pochettino basically picked him up and took him to his dressing room afterwards and said, no, don't bother, which I thought was quite sweet of him. Like, that's just a nice man of Poch. Anyway, with Spurs obviously showing us that they are now not title contenders and everything like that, what do they need? What's next for Spurs? How can they push onto that? But you say reinforcements, but where, Jamie? Because we've just looked at this and we've just said this, like Hugo Lloris, yes, obviously he had a shocker in midweek against Chelsea, but he's arguably just saved them 2 points there against there. He's the reason it was a draw, not Harry Kane getting a last minute winner or anything like that. It was Hugo Lloris. Their defence, I would say, is solid. They've got the best fullback, some of the best fullbacks in the league, in terms of talent wise anyway. Trips is amazing. Ben Davis is absolute quality. Their defenders are solid. Vertonghen, Sanchez, whoever else you want to play. That I'm forgetting one as well.
Alderweireld.
Thank you. And then you've got arguably four or five of the best front talent in the Premier League in Kane, Ali, Son, and Eriksen. So. Where else is there to improve?
I think they could do with a world-class central midfielder to pick up the ball and move the ball around the pitch. I don't think Sissoko is any good, particularly any good.
He's not.
Or Harry. I don't rate Harry Winks myself.
I'd just say squad depth. You look at that Palace game when he played in the FA Cup against Tottenham.
Yes.
He had all the main players out. The team was woeful. Mm-hmm. Whereas you look at top teams, Man City, Liverpool. You know, they've got the squad back there if someone's injured or tired legs, just, squad rotation, keep the top players fit but still have a good chance of winning the game. Tottenham don't have that.
Okay. Any ideas of who it is? Or that will be your pod homework this week, that next week you will be able to give me top midfield talents that could easily fit into that team. Jamie, you probably won't have that homework because you are guest this week. Anyway, moving on. Bournemouth, Man City. Man City squeaked out another win, as we've said, with who scored that goal?
Mahrez.
With a Mahrez finish. Thank you. Thank you. And he came on for an injured Kevin De Bruyne. Now, obviously, this is what we're going to say and go on. Are Man City kind of too tired to win the league? Or are they? Do they have a lot more depth than Liverpool and can do it again?
I think they'll do it. They have got a lot of depth there. So, but Kevin De Bruyne seems to get injured quite a lot, doesn't he, at the minute?
It's just this season, I believe, but this is a completely different injury. It's not a knee injury like he suffered from the earlier thing. It's a hamstring injury, this one.
He seems to be getting little niggles here and there. So,
is that because they've played too much, Adam?
He's come into the side a lot more. When he was injured, he was out. He was steadily coming back into the team, but now he's had these good performances. He's been in the team every game. So I think, is that a mistake on Pep's part? Just thinking, right, I need to make changes. Obviously, brought Mahrez and he hasn't played a lot. But, really, you got to think of all your players, and maybe that's just a slip up from Pep there.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Bournemouth, obviously, we didn't really discuss them. They lost 1-0. They didn't have any shots on target in this game.
I've got to say, whoever you're playing at home, 18% possession is embarrassing.
I think it is as well. I'm completely in all agreement with you.
You could be playing anyone. You've got to have more than 18%. This is embarrassing.
And more than 200 passes and better pass accuracy than 57%.
It's just an all-round awful game from Bournemouth.
It's utterly terrible. And the example I'm going to use, and yes, this is biased because I'm a Newcastle United fan. The example I'm going to use is 2 years ago when Man City first had Pep Guardiola installed, and they were playing this tippy-tappy football. They came to St James's Park. We had 25% possession, 3 shots, all of which were on target, and everyone said we're the most negative side of the Premier League, and it's disgraceful. This is another step further. And no one's batting an eyelid. There is no mainstream media going, this is disgraceful from what Bournemouth.
because it's Little Bournemouth, really. Everyone thinks they're lucky to be here. Really, so people like them because they've built the club from where they are. They've got the small ground, 12,000. But obviously, you look at Newcastle, right? It's a massive club, and people are going to criticise them because they should be, playing better football than they are. Some people think, anyway.
It just annoyed me. It really did, because. And here's another stat that's just baffling, and me and Jamie discussed this on the walk up to the pod today. Bournemouth made 3 substitutions in the game. All of them played 41 minutes in total, if you add that up. Each one of them 3 substitutes, if you add them together, 1 pass between the 3 of them.
Bloody hell.
That's embarrassing.
I mean, you look at the substitutes they brought on as well. All playing 40 minutes. They're getting those injuries are racking up, really. And at the minute, you can only see them going one way, which is lower down the table. Not at risk of getting relegated, but they're not going to be top half this season. No chance.
So for the injuries that obviously they came off, it was the centre back of Jack Simpson. Nathaniel Klein came off, and so did David Brooks after he's just come back, and it was Moussa Ibe and Diego Rico that came on. And just a little fun tidbit. Did anyone see Vincent Kompany's header?
No.
It went like 50 yards and put Sterling through on goal from his line. It was brilliant. It was an absolute monster header. It was incredible. Anyway, moving on. Fulham Chelsea. Fulham actually looked all right, didn't they? Jamie?
Yeah, I think. Scott Parker coming in. We know what sort of player he was. Just an absolute, stalwart in the midfield. I think he's only going to have a good influence over that Fulham team, and they've got the worst defensive record in the league, so they obviously needed to tighten up at the back. But I think it's just that thing of new manager comes in, they've got something to prove, players are playing for their places. What better stage to do it against all round struggling Chelsea team. Of course they got that result in midweek, but they've been stuttering for a while, so they would have seen that as a good opportunity to get a win, really.
And when we move now, I'm going to move on to the Chelsea end. It was a good performance from Fulham in the end. I thought Sessegnon was brilliant.
Yeah,
I really did. I thought he was best player on the pitch. I really did. But Kepa started this game.
Yeah,
and obviously he didn't start the midweek one. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Willy Caballero started the midweek one, and I was surprised that he started Kepa this game. But I think, and for those that watched it, he made 3 big saves at the end of the game to keep Chelsea in the lead of this.
Yeah, I just thought it was a bit of a slap on the wrist. Right? Like, here's your one game off, and then you're back in the team just to learn that you can't do this to manager. And then in the game, Fulham were really going for it, and he needed to be there to make the saves because it's a game that Chelsea could have easily lost.
Yeah.
That's what we spoke about last week. I wanted Kepa has not won any points for Chelsea this season, really, when you look at games.
But he has now.
This seems to be the theme on the podcast. Somebody says something, and then the opposite happens.
This is the start of really good goal mentions, because there are a lot of them this week. There are a lot of amazing goals, and especially in the game that we're going to talk about next. But that Jorginho finish was brilliant, wasn't it?
Oh,
bro.
Just made it look so easy, didn't he?
Yeah. It was effortless.
Not seeing enough of it this season from him, but it was...
Absolutely.
But he's finally done something.
He's finally done something. But this is my point now, and agree with me and disagree with me, and I'll elaborate on it further. When you watch the Jorginho goal, you see how Sarri ball should be in effect, okay? Because you had Hazard on one side, you had Willian on the other, you had Barkley on the edge of the area, who obviously laid it off to Jorginho there, and you had Kante on the other side. So this is how he wants. He wants this kind of pincer-like manoeuvre there, and his quarterback-like midfielder on the edge of that area, picking up the ball and just going bang, goal, bang, cross, bang, goal, bang, cross. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's the highest I've seen Jorginho up the pitch this season, and obviously if it comes into effect, he's placed the ball into the top corner, so you just need to be doing more of it, really. So is he finally getting his message across?
Top 4 update. Who's going to get it? Is it the next team that we're going to talk about, which is Man United Southampton? Chelsea, Arsenal, or like Spurs? Because obviously there's now the two places up for grabs because Spurs have slipped up twice.
I think it stays how it is, in all honesty.
You do?
Yeah.
Jamie?
I think I question Spurs more than Man United.
Yeah.
I think with the way things are going, Spurs need to arrest this slump pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You can only see United continuing. I mean, I don't know what their fixtures look like between now and the end of the season, but the form that they've showed, their confidence is going to be high. So even if they do slip up once, you can't imagine it affecting them long term. So I would say United are more of a guarantee than Spurs are.
Okay. Right, we'll discuss the full table at the end of the four fixtures. I just wanted an opinion there, fellas. Now, when we move on to Man United, they won 3-2. Could have been 4. We'll discuss the other one. The 4 missed there. 3-2. Southampton led twice, and they came back and were resilient like they were against Burnley. And Romelu Lukaku scored twice again. He scored twice in midweek as well. What is this? What are we? Are we seeing old Man United back? Or is it just they're good?
They're good. They're really, Lukaku, we got a bit of a stick over the past couple of months, not really getting the goals. And he's answered those critics today, at the weekend. It was really like a goal of the season compilation.
It was brilliant.
The goals flying in. You could just sit there and enjoy the game, really. It was one of those.
Valerie obviously scoring the first goal for Southampton. What a hit.
Great goal.
What a absolute banging hit.
Controversial opinion, just want to throw this in. I was a bit underwhelmed by the Valerie goal. Now, that's a shocking statement first, but if I explain why. So, watching Soccer Saturday, Charlie Nicholas was commentating on this. He made this out like it was a 40-yard arrow into the top corner. Now, I'm not disputing it's a great strike, but he's not far off the edge of the area. It was sold to me a bit better than I thought it was. I mean...
Anyone else?
Still a great strike, but Charlie Nicholas over-promised that, I think.
Anyone else?
I still think it's a great goal.
Yeah.
Good goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, Jamie.
It's still a great goal, but I thought it was going to be better, not gonna lie.
We'll talk about a better goal than that one, which is the Andres Piero one. That's better. I think that's a better way.
The curl he got on that, amazing.
Jamie, was the Pereira goal better than the Valerie goal?
Didn't see it, so I can't comment.
Oh, of course not. What a surprise.
I searched the Valerie goal out on Twitter. That's why. That's the only reason I saw it.
What a surprise. Okay, then Romelu Lukaku scored his brace, and obviously James Ward-Prowse scored a free kick. And there's been some good free kicks at Old Trafford this season. Still the best one, in Tom's opinion, is Harry Wilson.
It has to be,
doesn't it? Doesn't it, Tom? Has to be. But speaking more about Romelu Lukaku then, is he back? Or are we just over-exuding things? Because he's got 12 goals this season, which is a little bit under the radar there. 12 just goals this season there already. That's a bit weird. Well, to be fair, he's got 4 in the last 2, so it would only be 8 if he hadn't scored anything. So that would be more realistic. But 12 goals this season. He had 16 in total last season. But he hasn't got any assists this season, and he had 7 last season. So is he having a better season this season? Or is it more of the same underwhelming Lukaku that we've got? What do we think, fellas?
I think it's underwhelming. If you say last season we got 16 goals, 7 assists, was it?
Yeah.
And we've got 9 games left?
Yeah.
And he's got
8 games left.
8 games left, and he's got 12 goals, no assists.
Yeah.
It is another underwhelming season for Lukaku, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, last season showed he was like quite the complete forward, could do it all. Whereas, I mean, you want your number 9 to score goals. Assists are great, but if he's bringing everything to the table, then I would say he's having a better season last season. So he's got a bit to do.
Is that due to the rise of Rashford on
him? Yeah, I'd say so. Obviously, he's first choice now, really, in the Man United team. You've got to say Rashford up front. Lukaku comes in, like I was saying, squad depth. Obviously, they've got 2 strikers who can come on and score goals.
Absolutely.
But it's downfall because obviously Rashford's the main man now. Okay.
And on a Southampton note, so we don't just not talk about them as we haven't, and say that they scored 2 good goals and feel bad. They look better under Hasenhüttl, I think. I just think they need an off-season with him. They need a transfer somewhere with him to really understand his ethos and what he wants out of them, and obviously to get their fitness up to scratch for his system. And I think they'll be all right next season, depending on how they buy, obviously, and if they sell off players, because they really do need a striker.
Or depending if they stay up as well. I mean, only 2 points off. So if they get relegated, you see Hasenhüttl keeping his job?
Yeah.
I reckon he'd keep his job.
Yeah.
I think if he was going to leave, he'd walk away. I don't think he'd get sacked.
I think he'd get sacked.
Would you?
If he gets relegated, I think that's how Southampton are. I think he'd sack.
I think they're safe. I
think
mean,
they'll stay up.
They're not great, but I think Cardiff are a worse team.
Well,
so I don't think it'll be a case of they'll play really well and be fine. I think it'll just be they'll sort of plod along. Cardiff will just do worse.
Cardiff are built on being really good defensively, and at the minute they've been really poor.
Speaking of Cardiff, Wolves beat Cardiff 2-0, and it was a very impressive Wolves game. They were amazing, as we have seen them be this season. We've seen them go toe-to-toe with Man City early on in the season, slip up to Huddersfield. Just whichever. That's twice, actually. So Huddersfield was 6-pointer from Wolves, isn't it?
Twice, yeah.
Yeah, right, twice. Absolutely. But Cardiff, as Tom just said, Cardiff. You gave us so much hope because you were 6 points out the drop zone, you'd won 3 on the bounce, you were doing well, and now you're poor again.
And now they lost Bamba to injury.
Yep.
It was probably the last man you'd want.
And he's going to be out for around about a good 6 weeks.
Yeah.
By the looks of it. It's not good. It's not good. So they've conceded at least 2 goals in their last 7 games of Cardiff, which is very, very poor, especially since they don't have a good striker at all, do they?
No, there's no one there you think, right, he's the 20 goal.
Absolutely.
It's very similar to Huddersfield.
Well, speaking of Huddersfield, that was their last time that they did not concede more than 2 goals in a game, and it was a 0-0 draw.
No, I'm not surprised either.
So that's it. So for me, if you're not, as both you and Jamie have said there, they're conceding goals, they're leaking goals, and you've said Sobamba's the root of their defence, which I agree he is. He's a massive unit. What is he, 6'7"? He's a big guy. And with that loss, it's effortless for me. I think they're down.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think they're gone, yeah. I think Cardiff, Fulham, Huddersfield, as it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
that's the way it says. Anyway, we'll move on to Brendan Rodgers' first game, Watford versus Leicester. Unfortunately, he didn't win. Watford won 2-1 due to a Kasper Schmeichel failure, bit of Troy Deeney brilliance, and Andre Gray being just Andre Gray finishing what's on his plate. It's an absolute brilliant game. Did anybody see it?
Didn't see that one.
I didn't see that one, no.
Oh God! Right, so I'll cover it then. Fine. Watford were brilliant. They've shown us why they deserve to be 7th place. Their midfield dominance was incredible. Delafeu improved all sorts of problems, especially because Rodgers switched to a 3 at the back, which was weird because it's his first game and he wants to swap out a 3 at the back.
What did he play? Was it a 3-4-3?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's brave.
Very brave
to do that.
He just left Tillemans and Maddison in the middle and just went ping balls to Jamie Vardy. That's exactly what he did. It was weird, but it seemed to work for the first half, and then because they were 1-1, and then Kasper Schmeichel kicked it straight to Troy Deeney, and it was Troy Deeney cuts it through them 3, and Andre Gray's 1-on-1 and just finishes his dinner. What more do you want as a Watford fan? So
who played in the 3 at the back for Leicester?
It was, I believe, it was.
Was it Maguire,
Morgan, and Evans?
So you've got 3 there at the back that don't possess much pace at all. If you're going to play a 3 at the back, you need to have at least 2 defenders that are quick either side, and then one in the middle that's a big tall lad that's going to head and kick it for you.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got, if you're really slow in those 3, you're always going to get caught out by the likes of Andre Gray.
Well, your 2 wing-backs were Chilwell and Pereira, to be fair. So
yeah, but if they pushed up the pitch, and then on the counter attack,
which they have done for the goal kick, obviously,
they're going to get done.
Yeah, which is what Leicester did happen. a couple of people are saying Kasper Schmeichel's had an underwhelming season this season, and he's not exactly Kasper Schmeichel this year, and it's his kicking and obviously his distribution is the word I'm looking for. His distribution that's let them down. Is that a consensus we feel here, or are we Team Kasper?
I don't think he's been really poor at all. Leicester aren't in the worst position in the world, but obviously the heights that they hit a few years ago, obviously standards are going to be a lot higher. But
yeah, I mean, obviously every keeper has an off period with kicking. I mean, distribution has become such a bigger part of the game than it used to be.
Yep.
So obviously every keeper's going to be critiqued now on how they play the ball. So I don't think it's a massive problem as long as he, doesn't make too many more mistakes.
I think he actually won Danish Player of the Year as well.
Did he actually?
Yeah.
We beat Ericsson out for Danish Player of the
I
Year.
believe it was last week he got announced he won Danish Player of the Year.
That's brilliant. Yes, go on, Kasper. Right, okay. Palace Burnley. Palace are quite good when they have three fast players up front, aren't they? They're three fast players that can actually finish a ball. They're pretty good, aren't they?
I was very surprised at that result, to be fair.
Yeah.
I
was very
saw
surprised.
Burnley winning that game, to be fair.
I thought it was going to be a draw, and then I saw Palace just blew him out of the water.
Well, we also blew them out the water midweek, so yeah.
Although Burnley dominated the first half, really, if you look.
They did. They dominated possession. And
Burnley had 11 attempts to Crystal Palace's 1.
yeah. And this is the thing. Palace have learned that if you put three really quick players up front, you can counter-attack people.
Especially against Burnley. I mean, you're not going to put route one, put the ball in the air against tall players, because that's what Burnley want. So you've got to play the balls in between the lines and just get up to the front man.
So for this, then, obviously, because I think Palace will sign Missy Batshuayi on a permanent deal. I think they will. So
I think they will, yeah.
I think it's a perfect time of the season because they're not going down.
No, they're safe.
They're also not going to go any higher in the league or anywhere like that, are they? They're just a mid-table boring team. So, what do they need to push on, Jamie?
Well, as long as they can keep that front three together, build it around that. Really, I mean, they've got I think they've got a few decent players sprinkled throughout the team. What's his face in the midfield, Milivojevic.
Yep.
Got that name spot on as well.
You did actually. Tom's normally our pronunciation man, but you nailed that.
Yeah, I think he's a decent player, and then
they've got Max Meyer in midfield as well. They've also got Mohamed Saka. It's Mohamed
Saka.
Mohamedou
Saka. They've got Gaeta in goal. That's a decent goalkeeper. The young. Is it Wan-Bissaka that's their left back? That's the young right back. That's good. Obviously, James Tompkins is a journeyman. That's a really solid Premier League defender. So they've got all the tools there.
I wouldn't say a lot of those players are. Well, I say a lot of those players. James Tompkins is the one that stands out that isn't quite that good. But I mean, you look at that squad. Is that a top half-table squad to you? Because to me, it certainly isn't. They've got, like you just mentioned, a few good players. Meyer and Milivojevic in midfield. Wan-Bissaka in there as well. Sacco. They've got the start of something, but they need to add some decent quality around that if they want any chance of finishing top half.
With a centre half and another central midfielder myself.
Okay. Adam? That's a move on then, fellas, that one, isn't it? Right, we'll talk about somebody that's actually done what Jamie and Tom were on about there and added midfielders into there, and that's West Ham. Because plucky little West Ham beat Newcastle 2-0.
It's a pretty good performance for them. I mean, Newcastle didn't really offer a lot.
No, we didn't.
Rondon was really feeding off scraps. They got the ball into him. They got a few crosses, but one or two crosses into him. I mean, really away from home, when you got Rondon on the pitch, you need to be just putting those balls in the box. That's really how he's going to get his goals.
Yeah. Well,
you were quite confident, weren't you?
I was. I was very confident. I was like, we're gonna do bits. Yeah, absolutely. Especially after the Burnley game, we were like, come on. But when Jose Perez makes 4 successful forward passes, you're not going to do anything. And Almiron's trying dribbles, but when you've got Ogbonna and Diop just going in on him, and showing you how physical this league actually is, you're not going to do anything.
Yeah, I felt he didn't really do anything in the game, to be fair.
No.
I mean, it wasn't his fault.
No, I'm not saying it is his fault. West Ham played brilliantly. They were incredible. Like, their new additions have proven that they are pushing on. Because last season they were a Palace that we were like, oh, what do they need? What do they need? But now they've got that centre half in Diop, who is incredible. He has patches and he was awful against Wimbledon in the FA Cup, but he is good. They've got a centre midfielder now that is doing incredible for them and bossing games. His name is Declan Rice, and he made Sean Longstaff look like a 12-year-old schoolgirl. He really did. He bossed him off that pitch. Well, Sean Longstaff got subbed at half-time because he was doing so poorly. And they've got forward attacking prowess now. Chicharito was a nuisance and won a penalty that was a bit soft.
It's one of those, isn't it? I mean,
It was a bit soft.
He goes down, you've got to give it.
It was a bit soft. Of course it was going to go down as well. Chicharito. But they've got attacking prowess as well in Felipe Anderson. Brilliant player. We all, when he signed for West Ham, we were all like, why did he go to West Ham?
Yeah,
What's going on?
Great player.
Great player. So, West Ham are doing okay. They're in mid-table. Yeah, great. Newcastle, we're going to be fine. We're not getting relegated. But the bad news is that Mike Ashley took our club off the market. So we're not getting sold this season, guys.
Or ever. He's taking you to the grave.
Surely just name them Sports Direct FC now. I mean, it's just going to be a thing forever, isn't it?
Oh, God. And then Rafa's going to leave. And then we're going to end up with a manager like Jankovic from Fulham or somebody like that.
And you'll do a Sunderland.
Oh, what?
And you'll do a Sunderland.
Oh, God. Shut
There'll
up.
be a Netflix documentary.
No, he won't allow people inside. I mean, he's even banned the MP that is a Newcastle United MP. He's even banned her from games because she slagged him off in the press. So he's suspended her season ticket. So
Oh wow.
and welcome to Bad Owners FC. I'm not going to say anything because we'll get on to Bad Owners FC when we talk League 2 later on with Adam. But there is one more game in the league, and we'll go over it quickly. Brighton Huddersfield, 1-0.
They weren't embarrassed Huddersfield, but obviously in the situation they are, they're going to be picking up points, and it was definitely a game. You look at their fixtures and think, right, this is where they've got to get a win. They kept possession well, I thought, first half especially. They just didn't really get the ball up to their strikers.
And the Amex Stadium is not a good place for Huddersfield. They haven't won there since they were in League One.
Is anywhere a good place for Huddersfield at the minute?
Yeah, that's true. But like that just shows how far the two clubs have come. That like, Huddersfield's last win at Brighton's Stadium, the American Express Stadium, short to the Amex Stadium, was in 2011 when both clubs were in League One. Now they're in the Championship. The Premier League, sorry. Well, Huddersfield are in the Championship already. But now they're in the Premier League, and I think that's brilliant. I think that's great. Surely. Lads? No, right, no one cares. Fine, whatever, fellas. Right, we'll move on to the next week's fixtures. Obviously next week, there isn't actually a lot of big games. There isn't. There's one massive game, and there are a lot of games where you're like, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Yeah,
we might not get many 0-0s in if there's no big game.
I don't think there's going to be many 0-0s this week, to be honest with you, Tom. But biggest game is Arsenal-Man United. Whew. That's a top 4 decider, that, fellas, isn't it?
Yeah, huge game for both teams.
Huge game for both teams.
Yeah.
Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the fixtures of the Premier League, and we're going to predict who obviously will win the game. Okay, Jamie?
Yeah.
We normally do that, and I'm just informing you as our guest, this is what we're going to do. So, the early kickoff on Saturday is Palace-Brighton.
Palace.
Draw.
Ooh. And then we have Huddersfield-Bournemouth.
Huddersfield.
Draw.
Yeah, obviously, that's a real chance for Bournemouth to shatter that away record. Awfulness, isn't it? But you think it's not going to happen, that's fine. I love it. You're sticking with the Huddersfield team. We've got Southampton-Tottenham at Southampton.
Draw.
Southampton.
Spurs,
yeah, definitely. Come on, guys. Let's not have this. Leicester-Fulham.
Leicester.
Leicester.
Draw.
I'm going Fulham.
Oh, the voice went there, didn't it?
Cardiff City, West Ham.
West Ham.
West Ham.
West Ham.
West Ham, yeah. Newcastle, Everton. It's at St James's.
Newcastle.
Draw.
Everton.
You're not coming back. Newcastle United win. Man City, Watford. That's the late game on Saturday, and it's at the Etihad. Obviously, we've got Man City all round, aren't we?
Man City, yeah.
Man City.
Yeah. I would say Man City.
Yeah, Man City all round then.
I was just thinking, I was like, because I said before the Liverpool game, I was like, Watford, dark horse, they get smashed 5-0, so
You get smashed
I'm not
5-0.
putting false hope into them again.
Oh God! Liverpool Burnley. That's the early kick-off on Sunday. That's the 12 o'clock one.
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
And then the 2:05 game is Chelsea Wolves.
Chelsea.
I'm going to go draw.
I am also going to go with Jamie. I agree, draw. And then obviously the late kick-off is Arsenal Man United.
Draw.
Man United.
United.
Arsenal. I'm going Arsenal. Sorry guys, I just am. Right, with that, obviously we've already discussed the fact that we think that the relegation zone is going to go as it is. We'll wait till next week to discuss the top four, because obviously after the Man United Arsenal game it will be a lot closer to who we think that is going to be. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Premier League is done. Moving on to the Championship. The Championship also had midweek fixtures. We've got wins for QPR over Leeds, which Adam is again smiling his cotton socks over because he predicted it yet again. Oh God. Yep. All right, Adam. Yeah, you had that one. And then obviously we have Bristol City losing again. They've lost again, Tom. They didn't win again after this massive win. Norwich have well and truly stuffed them, and Birmingham won, making Birmingham push on for the playoffs, and maybe a possibility there. And Hull also built Millwall there as well. Moving on to the weekend, we have the top two won, both Leeds and Norwich won. Leeds beat third place West Brom 4-0 with a goal after 16 seconds, which is very impressive.
Yeah, watched the game. Well. It was great. Yeah,
great game.
Hint of offside though. Possibly.
No.
Leeds player running across the goalkeeper.
Yeah, but if you watch it, he's a good 3 yards, 4 yards the other side.
What?
He's not in the view of the goalkeeper. His own players in his own way.
What I did think was really good about the Leeds thing was I watched a clip after the QPR game where there were Bielsa's scouts and men that obviously do all the pre-match stuff, and they were in the stands after the West Bromwich Albion game looking at the game that West Brom had just played and preparing for it already after the QPR game, which I thought was just commitment. That was brilliant. Like, instead of going home and crying to your missus we lost, I need a glass of wine or something like that. Like, they're doing their homework for next week. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's what they get paid to do.
I knew Adam would say that. I really did. I knew it. Last night we had the Sheffield derby. Sheffield United versus Sheffield Wednesday. Yes, it was 0-0, but I thought it was a good game.
It was a good game. I enjoyed it. It's similar to the Liverpool Everton game. It was end to end, but no end product for either team.
Full of tension. Very full of tension. And Sheffield Wednesday could have nicked it at the end as well, but big save from Sheffield United's keeper.
Yeah.
Massive save there. So very good for there. We are going to do a couple of updates over the Championship because the rest of it is not really fun and great. Tom, we'll go to you for a derby update. That's it. That's enough. That's all you need to do. Just
awful weekend. So I started listening to it on the radio. Every time Villa went forward, I thought they were going to score. I actually thought this game was going to finish 6 or 7-0. I was worried.
Well, for the people that don't know the actual score, Aston Villa beat Derby 4-0, and all of the goals were in the first half. And if you haven't seen one goal in particular, well, go and watch the half-time goal of Jack Grealish from a corner, because it is possibly one of the best goals I've ever seen.
It's a great goal. It's a great finish.
Yeah, it's incredible. It is possibly the best goal. It's incredible. No, honestly, watch it. Just so we can describe it, ball comes from the corner, out to the edge of the D, on the edge of the 18-yard area. Jack Grealish doesn't even take a touch, just swings at it, hits it first time, bang, top corner. No shadow of a doubt. Derby's keeper didn't have a choice.
He had no chance. And if you want to watch awful defending, go watch the other 3. Oh my God. Oh. I actually think we won't win tonight either. I reckon Wigan will come and get a point against us.
Please win.
That's what
Please win.
The thing is, going to do what every team do when they come to Pride Park. They're going to come, put 11 men behind the ball and go for a 0-0.
That's what I want
and hit us
for
on the
anyway.
break. Millwall did it, had 1 break, scored, we lost 1-0. I would not be surprised to see the same thing happen again.
Ipswich did it and drew 1-1.
And probably should have won the game.
Probably should have won the game.
The weekend as well, we made 6 changes.
Yeah, you did.
6 changes.
It wasn't a good lineup.
A debut for Max Bird,
Yeah.
19-year-old, who had the task of man-marking Jack Grealish.
Evans as well.
George Evans, been awful since he signed.
Love George Evans.
I like
Come on, George, come on.
He looked good at Reading when he played at centre-half. Dreadful for us.
Josefson?
Josefson, yeah.
Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, Florian Josefson. He's so hit and miss.
Dan Holmes? Is it Dan Holmes?
Dwayne Holmes.
Dwayne Holmes? Oh, God.
He's looked good in patches this
looked-
season, but he just needs more consistency.
He looked good against us. I went to the game where we played at Derby. And I was going to say, when you said about 10 men sticking behind the ball, I was quite surprised that we didn't do that, to be fair. We tried playing.
You tried to play
To
out.
our detriment, it cost us a couple of goals.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
actually tried playing.
Which, which as a fan is good, yeah?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had to sit in the Derby end as well, which was tough. Like, you know, you have to do that thing when you're there for the other... And then they score and you just, like...
Stand up and
I
clap.
guess I've got to stand up, yeah. And one of the mate I went with wouldn't do it. I was just like nudging him, like, you've got to play the part, come on. But yeah, when the Reading goal went in, we had to minimise celebrations. Just little fist pumps to the floor, like.
Speaking of Reading, let's have a Reading update with Jamie Fry. Obviously, good result against bottom club Ipswich at the weekend, 2-1.
A bit lucky, if I'm honest. I'm amazed Ipswich didn't win that game. It was all
Last minute
Ipswich.
winner.
Yeah, we properly
right
robbed
at the
them
death.
as well. But I was glad for Oliveira to get his goal because of the chanting that went his way. Did you see this?
I did not. Yeah, no, go on.
No. So obviously Norwich Loney, Ipswich Norwich, big rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
Just before he scored, they were chanting. Like, he stamped on your face, Tyrone.
Oh, because he's got a mask on, hasn't
stamped
he?
on
Yeah.
your face, and then he literally, like 5 seconds later, went and scored. Went over to that and just stood there like, what? Well, it was absolutely brilliant.
I'd have taken the mask off and gone. Just gone. This is it. Here's my mask.
It's been like Predator.
Yes, brilliant. Oh, great reference. We managed to get a Predator reference. But how are you going down?
I said before Saturday's game, if we lost, we were definitely down. And it was a massive win considering Rotherham won as well.
Yeah.
So this is why I wanted Derby to win, because if Derby win tonight, we play Wigan on Saturday. If we beat Wigan and Millwall don't win, we will go above Wigan and Millwall. So it is a massive game.
Which Millwall might not win because it's a big game for Millwall as well at the weekend because they've got Bolton.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's big weekend for down the bottom of that league, I'd say.
It's massive for us as well that we get a win, because our last however many games there are left in the season in the Championship, we only play one side in the bottom half.
11, I believe. It's 46 in the Championship, isn't it?
Yeah.
The rest of it, we've still got Leeds to play, Norwich to play, Borough to play, Hull, Birmingham. Wigan is the last game. No, we've got Wigan on Saturday, and then middle of April we've got Brentford at home. That's the only team we have to play in the bottom half of the table.
That is brutal.
Okay, right, we'll run through the rest of the Championship before we discuss running playoffs and stuff, because I don't want to make Tom more depressed. Leeds beat West Brom 4-0. Millwall got beat by Norwich 3-1. Obviously, as we mentioned, Reading won 2-1 at Ipswich. Brentford beat QPR 3-0. Bad result for QPR. They should have used that Leeds result to crack on, really.
Bar the Leeds game,
Brentford
they're on a
look
bit
good,
of a
though.
slide.
They're a bit hit and miss recently, aren't they, QPR?
Brentford do look really good at the minute.
Okay, fair play. Bristol City continued their non-winning run with a draw at Preston 1-1. It's 3 games they haven't won now. What are they doing?
Neither have we.
They're,
It doesn't make a difference to us.
they're derbying the playoffs. Wigan Middlesbrough was 0-0 with bad result for Reading. Great result for Wigan as well, actually. Hull beat Birmingham 2-0. Stoke beat Nottingham Forest 2-0. I just wish the other Tom was here, who was meant to come on this podcast, but he had car trouble. Just wish he was here because we'd rub that in his face. Rotherham. Oh, God, this is just not good. Rotherham beat Blackburn 3-2, and obviously Derby got smashed by Villa. And then Swansea beat Bolton 2-0. And there is a game obviously tonight, as we've mentioned, which is Derby Wigan, and it's at Derby County.
Come on, you Rams.
Come on, you Rams, definitely. Absolutely, definitely. The weekend's fixtures, as we've mentioned a couple of them, they look very good. Norwich host Swansea. That's the Friday late game, which it will be on telly, and I think we'll all watch that because I think it'll be a good game, to be honest with you. I think it'll be a very good game. The early kickoff is Blackburn Preston. We also have another early kickoff of Sheffield United and Rotherham. Nottingham Forest Hull. Derby Sheffield Wednesday. Bolton Millwall, massive game down the bottom of the league. QPR Stoke. Middlesbrough Brentford. Reading Wigan. West Brom Ipswich. Big game near the top of the table, Bristol City Leeds, and local derby of Birmingham Aston Villa.
Some very tight games in there.
Very tight games.
Apart from the West Brom Ipswich game, all the others very difficult to call.
Yeah, very, very awful games. So we'll look at the playoffs because it's all the way down just to 6th, isn't it? And it is still that one playoff spot up for grabs, in my opinion. I don't think Middlesbrough are going to slip up enough. They have obviously dropped away from West Brom and all the rest of them.
What's the gap now between 5th and 7th? It's about 5 points, isn't it?
7.
7
points. So Middlesbrough are on 58, and obviously you're the 7th. You as Derby are 7th, and you're on 51. So it's 7 points.
Game in hand tonight.
No.
No game in hand.
No. Middlesbrough on 34, same as you are.
Oh, okay. There's a few other teams that played 35, don't there?
Yeah. West Brom and Birmingham have played 35, but like you, Bristol City and Middlesbrough have all played 34.
Oh, okay.
So like, there's no advantage with you there. There really isn't. But there are like 6 clubs right up your backside now, chasing Bristol City for that last spot. So here's just a read out of it. We've got Bristol City in 6th with that last playoff spot sitting on 54 points. We've got Derby County in the 7th spot sitting on 50. Birmingham in the 8th on 50. Nottingham Forest in 9th also on 50. Hull City in 10th also on 50. Aston Villa on 48. Preston in 12th on 48. And Sheffield Wednesday in 13th also on 48. Swansea on 47 and Brentford on 44. I love the Championship.
So what's that, all the way down to 14th?
All the way down to 14th.
Mental.
That is ridiculous.
Brentford obviously have got 46, but I think that's a little bit too much. I think that's a little bit too much.
8 teams fighting for one spot.
Yeah, and if you wanted to say that, 10 points isn't a lot, then we could go all the way down to 17th, and Blackburn have got 44.
I think that's a bit too far.
I think that's a bit too far, really.
I want to pose a question if I can.
Oh, by all means, Jim.
There's always that one team that have the late push in the Championship. Who does everyone think that is going to be this
Bristol
year?
City.
You think? Yeah, but they're already in pole position.
No, but I think they'll push further up.
Okay.
I think they'll secure it and push it further up. I think it'll be out of everybody's hands by the end of this month.
I disagree with that. I think Derby get that last spot.
You do?
Yeah, I think Bristol City have dropped off now. I think Bristol City have dropped off now after that loss against Norwich.
Yeah, but
rattled
Derby
the
aren't in
cage
the
a
best
bit.
form either.
No, but I've got to tease someone for that late push, haven't I? So let's get Derby.
Put it out there. I'm gonna say Swansea.
Maybe Birmingham.
Ooh,
Birmingham was my shout.
Maybe
I had
Birmingham.
a chat with Tom and John about this the other day, and we had the same discussion. And I said Birmingham dark horses for the last spot.
Is that minus points still coming in for Birmingham, or was that done for their transfer business?
Still, now I know that I might change my mind.
I honestly have no idea. What we'll do is
that's quieting down.
next week we will have a Birmingham City update because we have a Bolton update, and for that we go to Mr. Adam Swindles.
Yeah. So obviously Bolton, their training ground was closed this week
It was.
I heard it was due to lack of food at the training ground.
Yeah.
So there was no food there for the players to eat, so they just had to close the whole thing down. So a right old mess there. You know, there's some clubs lower down who are in bigger messes, but
which we'll get to later.
Yeah. But Bolton, you know, relegation spot in a really difficult position, and now that's just adding to it.
Absolutely. Right, so we'll move on. League One. Everyone who was meant to win, they won. That's pretty much it. League One. We'll run through the results for you very quickly. Southend got beat by Barnsley 3-0. Accrington Stanley got beat by Coventry 1-0. Luton won 2-0. Fleetwood Gillingham was 1-1. Portsmouth battered Bradford 5-1. Bristol Rovers battled Blackpool 4-0. Donny Charlton was 0-0. Oxford beat Scunthorpe 2-1. Burton Walsall was 0-0. Shrewsbury AFC Wimbledon was 0-0. Peterborough beat Wickham 4-2, and the Mackhams won 2-0 at Plymouth. So, obviously, Luton, they're probably going to win the league. They're 5 points clear, and we've got the best goal difference in the league. They're probably going to win the league. It's getting closer now. Sunderland have bounced back after these consecutive draws, which is annoying. And they're 2 points off Barnsley, so I think it's down to that second spot now. I really do. For anybody that matters.
I still think Barnsley get it.
I do as well. I don't think Sunderland have got enough. So yeah, obviously with Bristol Rovers, big result to secure maybe safety for them. I think it's a very, very big result because I think still 3 go down in the League One, don't they?
Four.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, they're still in relegation battle then, aren't they? Oh God, that is massive. Oh, I love that. Sorry, I didn't realise that 4 went down. That's incredible. But big win over Bradford. So realistically, it is that last spot that's up for grabs because Rochdale are on 34. They pretty much are down and out, aren't they? Bradford are on 33. Again, they're pretty much down and out. AFC Wimbledon are on 30 and they are pretty much down and out with 7 points out. But still a lot of games to go. 11 games to go.
Big up Wally Downs.
Pardon?
Big up Wally Downs, Reading hero. Only because he scrapped with Neil Warnock on the touchline. One of the best moments in history, yeah.
Hey, that's brilliant. That's absolutely superb. Big up Wally Down, you absolute hero. Next week's fixtures for League One, we'll run through them very quickly, so see if there's any big ones. We've got midweek game tonight, which is Accrington Stanley Blackpool, which is a big result for down there. If Accrington Stanley beat Blackpool, I think Blackpool could be nearly down and out, and all of that. The weekend's games, there is a Friday night game, which is Coventry Burton, and the rest of them are all 3 o'clocks, apart from the Charlton Portsmouth one, which is a late kickoff. We've got Barnsley versus Accrington Stanley, AFC Wimbledon versus Doncaster, Blackpool host Southend, Scunthorpe Bristol Rovers, which is a big game for the lower down of the league, Wickham Sunderland, Rochdale Shrewsbury, even bigger game for there, because if Rochdale wins, Shrewsbury could be dragged back into that there. We have Gillingham Oxford, Bradford Peterborough, Plymouth Luton, Walsall Fleetwood and Charlton Portsmouth. Moving on, League 2. In the midweek, Lincoln City drew again. They drew with Exeter 1-1. They won at the weekend though, and they beat Forest Green 2-1. But they really are bottling this.
I don't think they are.
It's 3 points now.
But they were still going. They're still picking up points, and they won at the weekend. I think if they keep picking up points, they'll be fine. Okay. They'll definitely be in their top 3, which is automatic. So,
well, speaking of the top 3, they all won. Obviously, Bury won as well. Mansfield beat Cheltenham 4-2, and Bury beat Macclesfield 3-0. So yeah, when we said that Macclesfield might push on last week and get a result out of them, we were wrong. They absolutely got stuffed out. The playoffs in League 2 are. They're looking tasty, I think. It's all the way down to 10th that could qualify for that spot because 5th down to 10th there is literally only 5 points in it, which is really tasty. That's really good. So that's Exeter, Tranmere, Forest Green, Colchester, Carlisle and Swindon are all in there. I say that because Newport and Stevenage are on 49, but I think 6 points is a little bit too much in League 2 especially. I don't know, I'll speak to our resident League 2er, Adam.
Yeah,
I think that's a little bit too.
If you look at the playoffs, I think going from 4th to 7th, I think Tranmere, MK Dons, Exeter and Colchester. This is what I'm going for. I mean, Colchester now, their manager's up for Manager of the Month. They're really pushing on.
Yeah, brilliant. We will speak about League Two, but we will speak about the wrong end of League Two. We'll go to Survival Talk in the EFL 92 with Adam, our Port Vale fan. Go on, Adam.
Obviously, the biggest game of this weekend was Notts County, Port Vale at Meadow Lane. Obviously, again, Port Vale dominate a game and then can't seem to score. Under John Askey, we've only scored 1 goal in 5 games. We completely outplay opposition. We just can't put the ball in the net, which is really frustrating. We've got the players who can create the chances for the strikers, and then Tom Pope, he's still stuck on 99 Port Vale goals. He hasn't scored, was it? I think it was mid-December he last scored, which put him on 99. It was just, he can do it. Everyone's getting on his back now, saying just get someone else from the bench, but there isn't really. You got Ricky Miller, who we got from Peterborough, but he's 2 goals in this league this season, so we've got to stick with Pope the captain and just hope he can score. That's all we need. The defences, we've got the best defensive away record in the league,
which I think is mad. That's absolutely crazy.
And we're third bottom. We've got the best defensive record in the league away. Although on the flip side, we've got the worst home record in the league. That's why it is. But I struck that really, because I hadn't seen that. That really blew my mind.
That's mind-blowing.
How can you be that good away defensively and be that low down?
Yeah,
stage fright.
Just the home form and the away form is completely off.
Stage fright.
So Reading suffered from that for a while. Literally, at home we were terrible. Away from home we were much, much better. It's the pressure of playing at home with all your fans there and everything. You go for away from home.
Think about this, and I didn't know this either, until Adam brought it up a few weeks ago. Port Vale's ground's massive. How big's your stadium?
It's 19,000 to seater, so
it's not bad.
That's massive. That's bigger than Bournemouth's.
So obviously
and they're a Premier League club.
Third biggest in League Two. Obviously, MK Dons is massive because they even when they win the Championship, the stadium was too big for them. And then obviously Notts County were obviously down there. I think it's important for us now, looking into the end of the season, the run of games. This Mansfield game is really a bonus. If we can get anything in this game at the weekend, huge. But then Yeovil Town, Tuesday, at Vale Park again, that is massive. I mean, we obviously we dominated this game, but we aren't going to play anyone worse than Notts County because they were woeful. Yeah. These games where we play teams around us who are woeful, as bad as us, we need to be picking wins up because we aren't going to pick them anywhere else.
Fine. We'll talk about Notts County very quickly. They've got some possible takeover options, so they don't go into administration.
So 2 buyers have come in for them. Obviously, that's what Alan Hardy wanted. He said the administration wasn't going to affect the club. Obviously, this week they're going to have interviews. They're going to meet with them and see if they're genuine buyers. Obviously, we've seen this before. Buyers come in and then it just falls apart, falls through.
Of course.
So obviously, for everyone considering Notts County, hopefully one of these buyers will come in. But for a Hill fan like me, I wouldn't mind a minus 10 points reduction to ease the pressure.
Yeah, there isn't any weekend fixtures this weekend in League Two, which I think is.
It definitely is because we're playing this weekend.
Oh, he's been called out.
Okay.
If you got,
I'm on Port Vale's fixtures, not League Two fixtures. I apologise. My fault, Bradley. So tonight we've got Cheltenham Bury. My apologies. And then we've got Tranmere Crew on Friday. Lincoln Yeovil's also on Friday. Saturday a 2:00 kickoff in Northampton Exeter. Is that because of rugby?
I don't know what it is. It's just I don't know. Sometimes they have 2:00, but normally for rivalries like derby games. But
that's not a rivalry.
No, nowhere near. Doesn't make sense to me.
Weird. Carlisle, Swindon, Stevenage, Bury, Macclesfield, MK Dons, Port Vale, Mansfield, as you already mentioned, Cheltenham, Notts County, which is a massive game, Crawley, Grimsby, Colchester, Newport, Cambridge, Oldham, Morecambe, Forest Green, Lincoln, Oldham. No, that's the Tuesday games. We're going on to Tuesday next week, which we will cover next week. We'll cover them midweek games because League 2 is weird and has multiple games at multiple times and does anything like that. Good luck to Port Vale, and hopefully they don't get relegated.
Yeah, and hopefully, obviously this week as well, 2 bids came in from Synetic Solutions, who's a local business in Burslem. 2 bids, 4 million and 4.5 million were both rejected by the owner.
Wow.
So what did he value at?
He wants 6 million. But that's the club and the stadium included.
Oh, right, okay, that's fine.
But I think that's too much though. 6 million still. I mean, I think 3 or 2 million is about enough.
Okay. What we will do is we will move on to other leagues. Now, we're a cool podcast because we do not only England, we do every league that matters. So, fellas, Dortmund are choking this league, aren't they? After their draw at the weekend, Borussia Dortmund lost to Augsburg, who are not doing well in the league, and obviously Bayern Munich thrashed Borussia Mönchengladbach. They beat them 5-1. So it was 9 points over Christmas. It's now no points, and Dortmund are just on top over goal difference. They've bottled this, haven't they?
Big time.
They've really bottled this.
This was a real chance to knock Bayern back off the perch, but Bayern will win the league from here, I reckon.
Yeah, we said that last week. We said they would do. Jamie,
I
Bayern winning
think
the league.
Although, to be fair, the only silver lining from this is they're probably just about to be knocked out of the Champions League. So at least they can focus on Bundesliga for the rest of the season.
We'll move on. We'll get onto the Champions League later. France, PSG. They're actually maybe human after all. They were losing 1-0, and then Kylian Mbappe came on and scored 2 goals.
He's incredible, isn't he?
Just look at what he is. He's going to be the best player in the world, isn't he? He's immense.
I would not be surprised to see him next 2 years to pick up that award. Because he is
something like 17 points clear or something, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're 17 points clear. That was exactly what I was about to say. Thank you, Jamie. Monaco, they won at the weekend. They continued their unbeaten run. With draw, they drew, they didn't win. They are now 5 unbeaten since Thierry Henry left, which
they've got breathing space now. They've got 6 points clear of the drop. They'll stay up now.
They're not in any danger of relegation. I just think it's a bit mad that it's there. Did anybody see Mario Balotelli's celebration?
Yes.
Yeah, the selfie.
Yep, he did an Instagram live when he celebrated, and he scored. He asked one of the cameramen to hold it and do that lot. So that was always fun. I miss Mario. Don't you guys?
It was cool to have him in the Premier League. I
miss
liked
him.
Yeah,
I
agree
a
with
bit
that.
of personality in the league.
Yeah. I miss him. Anyway, we'll move on to Spain. Barca beat Real Madrid twice in a week. God, Real Madrid are really not having a good season. Once was the midweek Copa del Rey. They won 3-0, and the other one was the weekend. They only won 1-0. But the midweek one, I don't know if anybody's seen it. If you haven't, go and have a look at Luis Suarez's penalty, because he Panenkas over Courtois, and it's cheekier than Eden Hazard's. It's dirty. It really is, boys. It's really, really dirty. It's Luis Suarez at his shithousery best. It's brilliant. It's absolutely quality.
That league's over now, isn't he? Anyway, what are they, 12 clear now, Barca?
9 clear now. 9 clear now. So yeah. When we talk about Real Madrid, we can't not talk about Gareth Bale's future. Adam, obviously, his agent came out and said he wasn't leaving in the.
He said he wasn't leaving, and then told the Real Madrid fans that you're an absolute disgrace. Basically came out and said, he also made a comment about, if you look at what he's done for the club, the Real Madrid fans should be coming and kissing Bale's toes. They said, I've seen that today, early this morning, which is huge. So it's only gonna heat things up.
Yep.
And I can't see him staying.
Well, here's the thing. It was in a paper this morning that he's not willing to take a pay cut, and he's earning 650 grand a week at Real Madrid.
Because he knows if he goes somewhere else, he can probably get.
He won't get that anywhere else.
I don't think he'll get that anywhere else.
No.
The only place he could get that sort of money is PSG. And I don't understand. PSG. Why would PSG want it?
Unless they sold Neymar.
I think the only way he goes to PSG is.
Or they got rid of Angel Di Maria.
They swap.
Or if Cavani, because how was Cavani now? 32?
Yeah,
33.
Like that,
so
yeah.
if he moves on, move Mbappe up front, and then he plays down the right.
Okay.
But
the only plausible way I see it happening is some sort of Neymar Bale swap deal.
Which won't happen. I can't see that happening.
That's why I said plausible.
Yeah, plausible. Absolutely. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll keep an eye on Gareth Bale, because it's just funny to laugh at him, really, isn't it? But anyway, move on. Italy, Juve, they beat Napoli, which means they've pretty much secured the title. So they won again with this. There's not a lot you can do. Feisty game though. 2 red cards. 2 red cards in the game. Big game. But here's the really good thing. Pablo Dybala didn't score. Didn't score. So this is what it proves. If I slag off Dybala, he scores. If I praise him and say he's a good player, he does not. So Dybala, if you don't score this week, it's centred. And it's there.
Done.
And we know you're done.
I've just seen breaking news.
Right.
So Bamba is out for the season with an ACL injury. So
Cardiff are down, guys. Cardiff are down.
So he's out for the season and half of next season then.
Yeah. Cardiff are down. Cardiff are absolutely down. Right, we'll finally round up the Champions League, which happens this week. This evening we have Real Madrid Ajax, which is 2-1 on aggregate. Who do we see winning?
Madrid.
I can think Ajax can pull this out, you know.
I see a draw in the game, but
I think Ajax can
I
probably
think
pull
through.
this out. Yeah?
no.
No,
Madrid.
okay, fine. Spurs Dortmund is 3-0 on aggregate, obviously to Spurs. We all think Spurs are going through here.
I
through,
think
yeah.
Spurs go through. I think Dortmund will put a weakened side out.
Yeah, they're not Spursying this one up, are they?
I don't think Spurs might not win on the night,
No.
but I think they'll go through.
Okay, that's fine. And tomorrow we've got Man United, PSG. Man United are 2-0 down on aggregate. Do we see them doing anything here?
I want the English teams to go through, but I can't. It's not going to happen.
He's taking 8 youth players with him.
Why not?
Oh,
But
God.
yeah, they've got injuries, so they've got to go.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
PSG will go through.
And Roma are 2-1 winning on the aggregate. Do we think Roma are going to do it?
No, Porto.
Porto.
You think
We're getting
Porto?
Porto. They've got that away goal. This is huge.
And Porto are a bad side.
I thought, no, it's at Roma.
They're going.
No,
Is it? No, is it? No.
it's at Porto.
It's at Porto.
Isn't it?
It's 100% at Porto.
I'm not.
He's been called out again.
No,
Absolute
yeah, you are right.
scenes
You are right.
Yeah, so
and
they got
you are right. Yeah,
Roma
you are right.
got absolutely hammered at the weekend in their local derby.
They did, yes, they did.
3-0.
So
That's
I see
yeah.
Porto going through.
Yeah, that's true. Right, fine. That's absolutely fine. So you think Porto are going through?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's winning the Champions League, fellas? Jamie.
I was going to come
That's
out with
a
a
big question.
jokey answer. I don't know. I'm going to say, just because of how good they looked, I'm just going to go with an obvious answer and say Barca.
Okay. Tom.
Atletico.
Adam.
God, Juventus.
Interesting.
PSG.
But that's like a really like. I don't have a clue, so I've just gone with a big team.
I think PSG will win it. I've said that all the time. PSG will win it. And on that note, I think it's time that we end the podcast. So with that, thank you, Adam Swindles.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tom Rogers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie Fry. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. We'll see you guys all next week. Have a good one. Bye.